Imagine you wake up, you check your phone on a Saturday morning, you just ran like this massive promotional campaign for your online store, and the dashboard is just glowing.
Best feeling in the world.
Right. You hit $10,000 in sales overnight, and you feel incredibly successful, maybe even, a little rich.
Sure, yeah.
But the harsh reality of e-commerce is that depending on where you live, what banking system you use, and like a dozen other invisible factors, that $10,000 might not actually exist in your usable bank account for another 2 weeks.
Yeah, which is the great unspoken reality of running an online business.
Right. So today, we're mapping the hidden plumbing of digital business. We're doing a deep dive into this really comprehensive breakdown titled How Shopify Pays You. Payouts, timing, and cash flow, just to figure out how a customer's click actually translates into cold, hard cash in your pocket.
Because we're culturally conditioned to believe that, because the internet is instant, the money must be instantaneous too.
Yeah, tap a screen, get paid.
Exactly. You tap a piece of glass, the product is bought, the money moves. But understanding the mechanical delay behind that transaction, it isn't just a matter of bookkeeping. It's the absolute lifeblood of your operation.
Because if you don't have it, you can't spend it.
Right. If you can't predict when your capital arrives, you can't buy your next round of inventory, you can't fund your marketing, and you certainly can't pay yourself.
Okay, let's unpack this. We're going to frame this deep dive as a journey, all right? We're going to follow a single dollar from the exact moment your customer hits that buy button, navigating through all the hidden gears, the bizarre geographical time zones of global finance, and the strategic toll booths along the way.
It's a bumpy ride for a dollar.
It really is. So to truly optimize your revenue, you first have to understand the 5 distinct steps that dollar has to survive. Step 1 is the easiest, the customer places the order.
Right.
Step 2 is when the payment is captured. In the material we're looking at today, this is designated as day 0.
Yeah, so the funds are securely captured through the platform's payment gateway. And that specific UTC timestamp coordinated universal time that becomes the starting gun for everything that follows.
Day 0.
Day 0. Because that timestamp is crucial. The global banking system operates on incredibly rigid schedules.
Right. Which brings us to step 3, the settlement period. And this is where the waiting game really begins. We're looking at a typical window of 2 to 5 business days.
Notice the word business there.
Yeah, business days. We'll get back to that. But once that clears, we reach step 4, where the payout is finally initiated. But wait, it doesn't end there.
No, it does not.
Step 5 is the actual arrival of the funds in your checking account, which tacks on another 1 to 3 days for standard bank processing.
Just for the banks to talk to each other.
Exactly. Oh, and if you happen to be a brand new merchant waiting for your very first payout, expect a blanket hold of around 7 days just for identity verification.
It functions as a financial gauntlet. And like I said, notice the most critical phrase in that entire timeline, business days.
The clock stops ticking the moment the weekend begins.
Precisely.
Yeah, the weekend and holiday rule. It's like a train system where the tracks literally dematerialize on Saturdays and Sundays.
That's a great way to put it.
Let's put you, the listener, in the merchant's shoes for a second. A customer buys your product on a Friday afternoon. You have a standard 3-day settlement period. That payment does not process on Monday.
Nope.
It processes on Wednesday. Saturday and Sunday completely cease to exist in the eyes of the settlement clock.
Think about the shock that delivers to a new business owner who, say, crushed it on Black Friday and expects to wake up fully capitalized on Monday morning.
Oh, man. Yeah.
They're suddenly staring down a massive cash flow deficit while simultaneously needing to pay for the shipping labels to fulfill those exact orders.
I have to push back on this, though, or at least ask the question every merchant probably screams at their computer screen.
Let's hear it.
Why does the digital movement of money, which feels utterly instantaneous to the consumer, suddenly operate on, like, 1950s banking hours for the person actually running the business? Are they just floating our cash to make interest?
That's the common conspiracy theory, right? But what's fascinating here is what is actually happening behind the curtain during those seemingly dead days.
Okay.
Shopify routes these transactions through Stripe's underlying infrastructure. When a platform is moving billions of dollars across global borders, they are subjected to incredibly strict international compliance standards.
That's legal stuff.
Legal and security. That 3-day delay isn't a symptom of old computers or bureaucratic laziness. It is a highly calculated window for fraud prevention and risk mitigation.
So they're basically holding their breath to see if the credit card was stolen.
Precisely. It often takes a consumer 24 to 48 hours to realize their physical card is missing and report to their bank. So that settlement window gives the payment processor time to run behavioral security checks, ensure the merchant is legitimate, sync with global banking networks, and intercept fraudulent funds before they are permanently transferred into a checking account.
Because once they're in the checking account, they're gone.
Exactly, where they can't be recovered. It is essentially a massive anti-fraud buffer disguised as standard processing time.
Okay, so we have this invisible train schedule based entirely on business days. But the speed of the train changes drastically depending on what country you happen to be standing in.
Yes, geography matters.
We always hear that e-commerce makes the world flat, but the documentation shows that geography is a massive differentiator for cash flow. Let's look at the standard track.
If you are operating out of Australia or the United States, you are on the fastest standard tier available. You get a minimum 2 business day settlement.
But what if I'm running my store from Europe or Canada?
Then the brakes get pumped slightly.
Yeah.
In the UK, Canada, and Germany, you are looking at a 3 business day settlement.
Okay, little slower.
Yeah, and it slows down even further in Asia. Singapore and Hong Kong take 4 days, and Japan takes a full 5 business days.
Wow. And then there's the extreme end of the spectrum. If you're a merchant operating in Mexico, the standard settlement period is a full 7 business days.
It's incredible.
Think about the math on that. When you add the 2 weekends that naturally fall into a 7 business day stretch, a merchant in Mexico is waiting a week and a half, sometimes almost 2 weeks, just to see the cash from a sale they already completed.
It's a huge burden, and we have to contrast that with the bizarre anomaly of the French banking system.
Yes. The France carve-out, I'd love this part. France is the only major country detailed here where the platform uses calendar days instead of business days for settlement.
Right.
So if you're a merchant in Paris, Saturday and Sunday actually do count toward your 3-day settlement period. It's a faster clock.
But there's a trade-off.
Yeah, they offset that by requiring a much higher minimum payout threshold, 10 euros, compared to just 1 euro in other European nations.
And this is deeply tied to the way France implemented the single euro payments area, or SEPA directives, compared to its neighbors. The local banking infrastructure just allows for continuous clearing.
Well, here's where it gets really interesting. How does a merchant in Mexico realistically compete with a merchant in Australia?
They're playing 2 different games.
Exactly. Let's say you both sell the exact same type of coffee mugs, and you both have the exact same profit margins. The Australian merchant gets their money in 2 days. They immediately take that cash and dump it right back into Facebook ads to acquire more customers.
Right, spinning the flywheel.
Meanwhile, the Mexican merchant is frozen, waiting 11 days for their capital to arrive. The Australian merchant can turn their inventory over 3 to 4 times faster simply because of the geographic coordinates of their bank account.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it really shatters the illusion of a perfectly level playing field in global commerce. We love the narrative that anyone with a laptop can build an empire, and theoretically they can, but the underlying plumbing dictates the velocity of that empire. In business, the speed of capital is a compounding force.
Because money makes money.
Exactly. The faster you can reinvest a dollar, the faster your business grows. This geographic disparity is a profound working capital disadvantage.
Which brings us to a massive friction point. Waiting up to a week for your own money is painful, and these platforms, well, they know it. So they created a solution. They built a fast-pass lane. It's called Shopify Balance.
This is arguably one of the most crucial strategic developments in the entire e-commerce ecosystem over the last few years.
It's wild. If you are frustrated by the waiting game, Shopify Balance is pitched as the ultimate antidote. It's basically a money management account built directly into your admin dashboard.
Right.
If you elect to use Balance as your payout destination instead of sending the money to your local, Chase or Bank of America account, you get next business day payouts.
Huge advantage.
You're essentially getting your money up to 7 days faster. Plus, they throw in 0 monthly fees, physical and virtual spending cards, cash back on eligible business purchases, and the ability to create sub-accounts to isolate your payroll or tax money.
It also allows you to pay your monthly platform fees directly from that balance, which eliminates a massive reconciliation headache for your accountant.
Oh, I bet. There is a catch, though. Currently, This FastPass lane is strictly limited to merchants operating in the United States.
For now. Yeah.
But let's look at the psychology of what's happening here. It reminds me of walking into a massive casino.
Okay, I like this.
Right. If you win at the blackjack table and you want to take your cash and leave the building, you have to walk all the way to the cage, wait in a long line, show your ID, and deal with all this built-in friction.
Yes.
But if you keep your winnings in their colorful plastic casino chips, you can just spin around, walk to the roulette table, and keep playing instantly. As long as you keep your money trapped inside their walls, they remove all the friction.
That is the perfect analogy for a walled garden ecosystem.
Right.
By offering this product, the platform is effectively bypassing the archaic 1 to 3 day traditional bank processing delay. They don't have to wait for the legacy banking system to clear the funds because the funds never actually leave their internal ledger.
It's all just numbers on their own screen.
It's an incredibly brilliant play. They are securing merchant loyalty by solving the deepest pain point cash flow speed while simultaneously capturing all that capital within their own financial interface.
Man, so smart. So we've solved the speed issue, at least if you're in the U.S., but speed doesn't matter if the amount of money arriving is fundamentally broken.
That's true.
Whether you use the FastPass lane or the slow local banking route, the amount of money that eventually lands in your account is never, ever the exact amount the customer paid at checkout.
Every journey has its toll booths.
Exactly. Let's look at how the payout shrinks, because every single step takes a little bite out of your margin. First, you have the standard processing fees.
The baseline.
Yeah, depending on what tier of subscription plan you're on, this generally ranges from 2.9% plus 30 cents per transaction on a basic plan, sliding down to 2.25% plus 30 cents if you're on an enterprise level plan.
Right.
If the customer happens to use an international credit card, add another 1% penalty. If they paid in a different currency and it needs to be converted, tack on another 1%.
And those are the predictable operational costs of doing business online. The margins get truly dangerous when the system works in reverse.
Oh man, the refund rule. This part completely blew my mind.
It gets everyone.
Let's say you sell a beautiful wool sweater. The customer buys it, the payment processes, and you pay that 2.9% processing fee.
Normal.
A week later, the customer decides they don't like the fit and asks for a refund. The platform automatically deducts the full purchase price from your next payout to give back to the customer. But they do not refund the original processing fee you paid.
No, they don't.
You lose the sale, you have to deal with the inventory, and you lose the fee.
And while this is a standard practice across almost all major payment gateways today, it is universally the hardest pill for a new business owner to swallow.
So what does this all mean? If someone buys my sweater, casually decides the color doesn't match their shoes, and sends it back, it actively costs me money out of my own pocket just to process their indecision.
That is the reality. You are paying for the mechanical privilege of moving the money out of their account and then moving it back in. The digital pipes were used both ways, so you pay the toll both ways.
That is brutal. And it gets worse with chargebacks.
Oh, chargebacks are a nightmare.
Right. A chargeback is when a customer doesn't even bother asking you for a refund. They just call their credit card company and dispute the charge entirely.
Yeah.
The moment that happens, the platform instantly rips the disputed amount out of your payout balance, and they hit you with a $15 non-refundable penalty fee.
Regardless of who is right.
Exactly. Even if you submit tracking proof, fight the dispute, and win the case, you only get the product money back. The platform keeps the $15 fee no matter what.
To really grasp why this matters, we need to put you, the listener, directly into the unit economics. Let's look at the math example provided in the material because it is incredibly sobering.
Let's do it.
Okay.
So you're running your store, you have a solid day, you process $500 in gross sales across 10 different orders, you're on the standard plan.
Okay.
Right off the top, you lose $17.50 to standard processing fees.
Cost of doing business.
Now, let's say one of those customers wants a standard refund on a $50 order. Boom, minus $50 from your balance.
Right.
Then a different customer files a chargeback on another $50 order. That deducts the $50 for the order, plus that $50 penalty fee, so minus $65.
Yeah.
You started your morning celebrating $500 in top-line revenue, but your actual usable net payout for that day drops to exactly $367.50.
Which means, in a single 24-hour cycle, you experienced a 26.5% reduction in your cash flow.
Wow.
If your profit margin on those products was only 20% to begin with, you didn't just break even that day. You actively lost money by keeping your digital doors open.
How do you even survive that?
You survive by deeply understanding your business stage and optimizing your infrastructure accordingly. When you are a new store doing under $5,000 a month in revenue, you generally just have to absorb these fees.
You just eat the costs?
Yeah, you use daily payouts to keep cash moving, and you obsess over preventing chargebacks through clear communication. But there is a mathematical tipping point.
Right, the upgrade point.
When your store crosses the $30,000 a month threshold specifically, right around $33,000, upgrading your monthly subscription to an advanced plan is no longer a vanity metric. It becomes a mathematical necessity.
Because the transaction fee drops from 2.9% down to 2.4%.
Exactly. Upgrading to a plan that costs hundreds of dollars a month sounds terrifying to a small business.
Oh, absolutely.
But the 0.5% you save on every single transaction across $40,000 in volume completely offsets the higher subscription cost. The savings compound massively. This is the transition every successful merchant makes. They stop staring at their gross sales dashboard, and they start obsessively managing their net margins.
Okay, so we've seen how the normal tolls chip away at the payout. But what happens when the pipeline gets completely shut off? Because we're also seeing details on major roadblocks that can completely freeze a company's cash flow without warning.
These are the hidden traps that can quite literally bankrupt an unprepared business.
The simplest trap is just doing, like, routine administrative work. If you decide to change your business bank account in the admin dashboard, the system automatically pauses all of your payouts for 4 calendar days.
No exceptions.
It's a security measure to make sure a hacker hasn't hijacked your account. But if you don't plan for that 4-day drought, you could miss payroll.
Easily.
But the truly terrifying roadblock is the reserve.
The reserve hold is the boogeyman of e-commerce.
If the payment processor flags your account as high risk, maybe you had a sudden spike in chargebacks, or your shipping times are too slow, or you sell in a highly regulated industry, they can unilaterally place a reserve on your account.
Which means they take your money.
They will hold a significant percentage of your funds, sometimes up to 120 days.
Imagine sitting down with your supplier, who just manufactured 5,000 units for you, and having to explain that you cannot pay their invoice for 4 solid months because your capital is locked in a digital vault you don't control.
I can't even imagine.
The psychological and operational toll of a 120-day freeze is devastating.
It's a death sentence for a small brand.
Yeah.
And there's an incredible warning label attached to this whole process. Do not close your store before your final payout's clear.
Yes, this is huge.
Sometimes a merchant gets burned out or a reserve hits, and they just want to wash their hands of it, so they hit deactivate store. But if you still have a payout pending and that transfer fails for some reason, you have literally locked yourself out of the building.
Yep.
You lose admin access to fix the banking error while your money is trapped inside.
It creates a logistical nightmare that requires weeks of support tickets to untangle.
Seeing all this risk, the reserves, the refunds, the 11-day waits in Mexico, makes the merchant side of the equation sound incredibly stressful.
Is it not for the faint of heart?
Which makes the final section of our exploration today absolutely fascinating, because it details how you can tap into this massive global ecosystem and generate revenue without dealing with inventory, chargebacks, or shipping delays at all.
Ah, the alternative routes to the gold rush.
Exactly. We're talking about non-merchant revenue streams. You have the affiliate program, where content creators are paid up to $150 just for referring a new store owner.
Not bad.
You have the partner program, where design agencies or developers get a 20% recurring commission on a merchant's monthly subscription fee for as long as that merchant stays on the platform.
Which is great recurring revenue.
Right, but the terms for app developers are what really made my jaw drop. If you build a software app for their marketplace, you keep 100% of your revenue for the first $1 million you make. The platform takes a 0% cut until you cross the $1 million mark.
Wait, 0% cut?
0.
This raises an important question about the fundamental architecture of modern tech platforms. Why would a publicly traded company willingly walk away from their cut of $1 million?
Are they secretly telling us that building the shovels for the gold rush is a safer bet than actually panning for gold in the river yourself?
They are acknowledging that their platform is utterly useless without a vibrant ecosystem of third-party tools.
Oh, that makes sense.
By heavily subsidizing developers, handing them 100% of their early revenue, they ensure that the smartest engineers in the world are incentivized to build exclusively for their walled garden.
Right.
And consider the risk profile we just discussed. A merchant selling physical shoes is battling international shipping, 120-day reserve risks, and angry customers wanting refunds.
Sounds exhausting.
An app developer is selling digital code. They have zero physical inventory, near zero marginal cost of reproduction, and highly predictable recurring revenue.
It's a completely different game being played on the exact same board.
And often a much more lucrative one.
All right, to wrap this all up, the core message for you listening today is that understanding payout timing, navigating those complex geographical time zones, and mastering the brutal math of deductions, that is the invisible machinery of running a profitable digital business.
The stuff nobody posts about on social media.
Right. You cannot just be a wizard at marketing on the front end. You have to become a master of managing the pipeline on the back end.
Because if you do not manage the pipeline will manage you.
True.
And I think there is a broader, perhaps slightly unsettling thought to take away from all of this. If the speed of money truly dictates the speed of business growth, and massive platforms are increasingly building their own internal banking ecosystems, like we saw with Shopify Balance, just to accelerate that speed.
Yeah.
At what point does an e-commerce platform stop being a software company and simply become a globally unregulated bank disguised as a digital storefront? And what does that shift mean for the future of traditional local banking?
Man, that is a heavy thought to leave off on. Are you logging into a store builder, or are you logging into a bank?
It's getting hard to tell.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Stay curious. Keep unpacking the invisible systems around you. And the next time you tap your phone and see that clean, simple digital receipt, just remember the incredibly complex invisible train system running in the background to make it happen. See you next time.